on the rocks. The immediate focus is on the environment, removing 500,000 gallons of diesel fuel from the ship's tanks before it leaks out. And sobering news about the salvage operation: it may take 10 months to remove the stricken ship from the island that doomed it. Jeffrey Kaufman, ABC News, London.
What heartbreaking pictures. It is like Titanic. His shoes and dishes and clothes. It's, oh,
I know a lot of people were wondering exactly what was going to happen with it, but they're removing it piece by piece.
Slowly. Slow, that's for sure.
Very slowly.
All right, here's a look now at your Monday forecast, everybody. Up to 1.5 feet of snow in northern Idaho and Montana. A light dusting from northern Minnesota to Michigan's Upper Peninsula. Also up to 3 inches of snow from the UP. Sorry, Michigan girls, sorry. We also have some showers for southeast Texas.
Wet 66 in Dallas, 62 in Atlanta. It's 42 here in New York, 36 in Detroit, 57 in Omaha, 34 in Fargo, Seattle 50, and Colorado Springs 64.
I like the way you said Detroit.
Detroit. Basketball.
This is truly an amazing story, this one. The Australian Open men's final started Sunday night, and it didn't end until 1:37 in the morning.
Yeah, it was tiring just watching it. It took 5 hours and 53 minutes for Novak Djokovic to defeat Rafael Nadal. And yes, it was the longest Grand Slam final ever. Sorry, I just got distracted. For Djokovic, it's his third consecutive Grand Slam title. He's beaten Nadal in every one of those finals.
I'll get you
Thought that was my husband out there for a second on the court.
Oh, really?
He actually is pretty ripped, my husband
Oh,
is. So, yeah.
Good for you. I'm glad you shared that. And he was classy about it, too. Djokovic said afterward that both he and Nadal used every ounce of energy they had, and that it's a shame there couldn't be two winners. That's a classy thing to say, but
maybe
no one
you
really
should
feels
just
that way.
extend the courtesy to Rafael Nadal and say we can both win.
That ain't the game. That ain't
you win and you lose.
All right. Well, Paula and I and her ripped husband.
I'm the loser, and you can be the winner tonight.
Thank you.
World News Now weather brought to you by Tide.
Turn the lights low 'cause we're about to get blown.
These boots are made for walking, and that's just what they'll do. One of these days, these boots are gonna walk all over you.
Everyone loves that song. All right, we're back now with a controversial change to a dress code at a middle school in Pennsylvania.
Yeah, a new rule goes into effect this morning, and it has some students and their parents. That was a stomping mad.
Thank you.
My Foley effects there. Reporter Amy Buckman of station WPBI in Philly has the story.
Shearling boots, often known by the brand name Uggs, are a popular winter fashion statement, but they'll be banned here at Pottstown Middle School. The reason? Teachers say middle schoolers have been tucking their cell phones into the boots, cell phones they're not allowed to have during class.
If during the class period your cell phone goes off in the midst of a lesson, obviously that causes disruption. It's something we have to address.
Students can still wear Ugg-style boots to school, but must leave them in their lockers and change into other shoes for class. And they can still wear other styles of boots as long as they're laced or zipped up to the top. Plus, they can still bring their cell phones to school.
They can bring them to school, but they have to leave them in their locker. And at the end of the day, they can take them out of the locker and back home with them.
Perhaps not surprisingly, the planned boot ban is not popular with many students and some parents.
They say that people are putting harmful stuff in their boots and like their phones and all, but if they want to put it like anywhere else, they could.
So you think the boot ban is not the solution?
Yeah, no, I don't think it is.
Just because certain people were putting things in their boots doesn't mean that everybody else has to pay the consequences.
I don't really think it's right. Like, you can always put everything everywhere else, and like, there's really no reason you can't wear your boots. It's winter. You're supposed to be able to wear them, and that's how people express their individuality.
The school needs to step in and say, listen, take away the cell phones from the children who have them. They're supposed to be in their locker. They're not supposed to be in the boots. We understand that, but don't punish the whole school.
Despite the opposition, this mom says she's okay with the ban.
A lot of things in life aren't fair, but if they tell you you can't wear them, you can't wear them, or you can wear them, put them in your locker, and then, put the phones in there.
The district spokesman tells me that if the cell phone problems diminish, they may reconsider the ban in a couple weeks or months, but as of Monday, here at the middle school, the boots are getting the boot.
That's encouraging. They're going to give it a few months and revisit the policy. At least there's a little wiggle room.
You can see both sides of the argument, but at the same time, it's not like they're saying you cannot own UGG boots. You just have to change them when you get to school.
Doesn't seem too bad.
No.
Yes, indeed. What, would you wear them?
I would wear them to school, and then I would change.
Oh. I didn't know you had a job outside of here.
I do. I got to pay my bills. I work overnights, man. Got 2 kids to support and a husband.
A woman of many talents, boy. I'm impressed.
My parents raised me right.
Yes, indeed. Good girl. All right.
It pays well.
I can imagine New York.
We're talking about, I work at a shoe shop.
Oh, yeah. That's clearly what I meant. Coming up next, the comedian who says she was abducted by aliens and she's not joking around.
And the big winner at last night's SAG Awards. Stay tuned for the skinny. Seriously, if you come in, I'll give you a discount on shoes.
ABC's World News Now will continue after this from our ABC stations.
Awards season continues.
We had the SAG Awards last night, the Screen Actors Guild, if you're wondering what that stands for. And Artist, doing really well. The Help, doing really well.
I mean, clearly the favorites are beginning to emerge as we kind of roll toward the Oscars.
Male actor, Jean Dujardin, lead male actor.
You say that well.
I do say that. Viola Davis, female actress lead from The Help. And then, of course, Alec Baldwin, the very funny Alec Baldwin from 30 Rock. And Betty White. Go Betty White. Go girl.
Hope Alec had a safe flight.
For her comedy series Hot in Cleveland, but kind of the moment that stole the show. Viola Davis, of course, won for her incredible work in The Help. She beat out Meryl Streep.
Oh.
Everybody seemed to be moved by her speech, so take a listen.
I was 8 years old when I decided to be an actor. And I am just so privileged to be gazing on the beautiful face of the woman who inspired me that beautiful day. And that's Cicely Tyson.
What a great moment for both those ladies. Wow. Congratulations.
Have you read the book or seen the movie
I
yet?
really want to see the movie. I have not seen it yet. No, it's great. And now that it's getting all this award attention, I really want to go check it out.
Book's
I'm behind on my
phenomenal.
movies.
I've only read
You did read the book,
I did read the book. I have not. I have the movie. I'm going to see it, but I read the book and it was amazing.
I want to check it out. I do want to check it out. I also want to check out this new video that Snoop Dogg. Snoopaloo is back in the news now. He apparently, for whatever reason, went and posted this video kind of blasting Kim Kardashian pretty much. So
what's in his hand?
Well, we all know what's in Snoop's hand. And what's up with the hat is, I think, the more telling question here. But basically, he calls Kim a lot of, it's an expletive-laden tirade here and kind of uses the H word to describe her over and over again. It's not a flattering description of a woman. He calls her cold-blooded B word, and this kind of basically faults Chris Humphries for trying to marry her, saying she's basically not the marrying type. She's something else, and that she gets around and all this kind of stuff. So Snoop just kind of went on this tirade against Kim, and he had a message to Chris that you never should have married her because she's not the marrying kind, except he wasn't quite as kind in his words. So
that's why we couldn't actually play the sound.
That's right. Snoop was harsh. I'm shocked.
Okay,
at least he was sober.
Fran Drescher,
Yes.
we know her from her work in from The Nanny.
Yes.
She should have been in the movie Aliens, though, because apparently she says that she was abducted by aliens during her youth. She says that she also has a chip implanted in her hand that happened during that abduction. This is all in the Huffington Post. She also says that her ex-husband, producer and writer, they also had eerily similar experiences. She says, we both have this scar. It's the same exact scar on the exact same spot. I don't want her for a nanny anymore.
Whatever, Fran. Do you remember her laugh? That awful laugh?
It was horrible.
The horrible laugh.
It was an alien. Maybe that's what happened. An alien literally, possessed her, and that's an alien laugh. That would make sense.
That would explain it. Never see breaking news here in World News Now. That's what I love so much about it. Who comes out and admits that kind of stuff? Come on. Why would she do that?
She's looking to get some sort of deal, probably.
Oh, maybe she was hanging out with Snoop.
That's right. Good call.
Yes.
Excited about the big game.
Yes, coming up, days away now. And this is time for our boom favorite story of the day.
Wow, we are so
good. We're so insane. Great
It's like we've been working together for 25 years.
I know.
Okay, so this is going to tell you a little something about which side of the debate that some of us fall on. Super Bowl or the Super Bowl commercials?
Come on, it's all about the game. Of course, the big one is less than a week away now, the Super Bowl. And this morning we have a tantalizing preview of all those ads that we'll catch this Sunday. With more on this, here's ABC's David Curley.
Do your trick and I'll give you one of these Doritos.
For many of us, they play some football between the commercials. This is some of what we'll see.
You want me to go to Newark with those guys? Somebody ordered 46 banana daiquiris.
It will be a record year of spending.
Every time he craves Doritos, he turns into a bird of prey.
$250 million, yes, $1 billion.
Watch this.
And there will be something different this year. Many commercials will be longer. Take Volkswagen. They stole the show last year with that miniature Darth Vader. Well, the Star Wars theme continues with the bark side. Dogs barking the Star Wars theme for a minute. There's even a, forgive the pun, a Chewbacca. And new this year, interactive ads. Those Coca-Cola bears are going to be plugged into what's happening on the field.
The ad is actually going to reflect some of the stuff that's happening live in the game. It's a pretty unique approach to Super Bowl advertising, and hopefully it'll come out without a hitch.
And many ads will offer ways to surf the net or use your phone to get more info. But nothing quite like what this guy's phone will do.
This new phone I got will get us anything we want. Send me more Doritos.
Sending more Doritos.
Dude, let me try it. Send me 3 hot, wild girls. Yeah.
Sending 3 Rottweilers.
No.
If only the game is as good as the ads. David Curley, ABC News, Washington.
So why are we here again?
The last one was my favorite.
Suri misunderstands us sometimes. Okay, so it's our Facebook question of the day. Obviously, what do you watch for? One guy says you're basically asking us to say, what are you, a man or a woman? That's the question.
That is true. Come on, fellas, we're all trying to watch the game
But
here.
I like the game too.
Good. We'll be back.
This is ABC's World News Now, informing insomniacs for 2 decades.
This morning in World News Now, war zone. That's how experienced first responders describe the pileup in Central Florida that killed at least 10 people.
The smoke and fog that caused the chain reaction crash and what you should do if you drive in these dangerous conditions. It's Monday, January 30th.
From ABC News, this is World News Now.
Good morning, everybody. Happy Monday. I'm Rob Nelson.
And I'm Paula Ferris. Interstate 75 near Gainesville, Florida, finally reopened last night after a nightmare of a scene early Sunday. The terrible conditions that led to the smash up and big questions police face because they closed the road and reopened it just before the accident.
Oh, heartbreaking story. A nearby fire just made for some awful conditions. 10 people gone in that. Just an unbelievable scene. Also this morning, lessons in bravery from a school principal in the state of New Hampshire. She took some pretty big risks to save an autistic boy who ran from the school and into an ice-covered river.
Wow. Brave, brave, brave. And later this half hour, reasons to laugh before tomorrow's cutthroat GOP primary in Florida. Some campaign humor as we head into an all-important vote.
It is getting nasty down there. A few laughs are probably a good thing right about now.
Yes.
So we need a little humor, especially after this next story. So we start with that horrific crash scene on Interstate 75 near Gainesville, Florida. The road was reopened this morning in both directions.
But at least 10 people died in pileups early yesterday. Conditions were so poor they could hardly have known what happened. We have more from ABC's Mohammed Leela.
Witnesses say it looked like a war zone, burned out rigs, cars crumpled, and a mess of twisted, mangled metal. It happened at around 4 a.m., the debris scattering across a mile-long stretch of the I-75. By the time emergency crews arrived, the only way they could find victims was to listen for their screams. The blinding mix of fog and smoke from a nearby brush fire making it impossible to see. Fog-related collisions are among the most deadly. Just last month, low-rolling fog on a New Orleans highway left 2 people dead and 22 hurt.
So what should you do if you're stuck driving in very low visibility? Experts say the first thing to do is to slow down. Number 2, if you do have to stop, make sure you pull over as far off the side of the highway as you can. And number 3, no matter what you do, never stop in moving traffic. In Florida, police had originally closed the highway because of low visibility, but decided to reopen it a few hours later. That's when the collisions occurred.
It was really a perfect storm to cause reduced visibility. You had smoke from the wildfires, which puts particles in the atmosphere, and just enough moisture for water to condense around these particles and cause fog.
Several victims remain in serious condition, and hospital officials say the death toll could rise. Muhammad Lila, ABC News.
And that fire is actually still burning as of last night.
So sad that they had closed it and then reopened it right before all of these accidents. It could have been avoided, you'd hope. They say that the fire that possibly caused the accident was still burning as of last night, but vegetation in that part of Florida is very thick, deep, and dry, which causes a real hazard near the highways as well.
Prayers and thoughts to all those victims. A horrible scene.
Well, the police chief in Birmingham, Alabama, calls it one of the city's worst crimes in recent memory. 5 young men were found dead inside a house this weekend after police responded to a burglary call. That video just rips your heart out. The chief refused to speculate on a motive or to describe the crime scene. The U.S. Marshal's Office has joined that investigation.
The mayor of Oakland, California, is now threatening legal action against Occupy protesters following a violent break-in at Oakland City Hall. Dozens broke into that building Saturday, breaking glass cases, even spraying graffiti outside. Demonstrators and police battled for hours, exchanging rocks and bottles with tear gas canisters. More than 400 people were arrested when all was said and done. And some Occupy protesters took to the streets here in New York last night as well. They said it was a march in solidarity with those in Oakland. Several people were arrested as well here, but there was no serious violence.
To politics now, and the crucial vote in Florida tomorrow. The latest numbers show Mitt Romney pulling far ahead of the pack with 42%. Newt Gingrich is way back at 27%. Rick Santorum still in double digits at 16%. And Ron Paul, who has not campaigned in the Sunshine State, has 11%.
And Mitt Romney is responding now to the latest series of attacks by Gingrich. Romney tells ABC News that the attacks have been sad and painfully revealing. He says they show a side of Gingrich that voters haven't seen since he was Speaker of the House many years ago. Romney also said of the hundreds of people who have worked with Gingrich, now only a handful are willing to support him now, most notably Herman Cain and Sarah Palin. In the meantime, Gingrich is teaming up with President Reagan's son, Michael, during his campaign swing in Florida today. Gingrich says Michael will, quote, prove to everybody that Gingrich is the heir to the Reagan movement, as he puts it, not some liberal from Massachusetts. The former House Speaker is also touting his endorsement, as we said, by former candidate Herman Cain.
Does not seem to be helping him, that endorsement from Ronald's son. Well, Rick Santorum returns to the race today in Missouri and Minnesota after taking a weekend break because of a family crisis.
ABC's David Curley is joining us this morning with more on this story.
Good morning, Rob and Paula. Rick Santorum came off the campaign trail over the weekend. He had to admit his 3-year-old daughter into the hospital. Bella has already defied the odds, surviving a genetic disorder that kills most children before their first birthday. But she is suffering from pneumonia in both of her lungs.
I just see a miraculous turnaround. She is just doing great. She is alert and, back to our own beautiful, happy little girl. We still got a long way to go here, but she has, without a doubt, turned the corner.
With her father in Philadelphia, Santorum's older daughter, Elizabeth, filled in for him in Florida.
And right now, family comes first, being a dad and being a husband right now, so that's why he's home.
The Santorum campaign produced a video, and the former senator has talked openly and emotionally about his 7th child, his youngest.
They told us that she had a fatal condition. Was going to die.
Doctors say for a child in her condition, pneumonia is serious.
An infection, particularly if it gets set in, can sometimes move faster than it would in someone else.
So she's doing well enough. We've talked to the doctor. She thinks she's on the mend, and hopefully we'll be out of here in 2 or 3, maybe at most 4 days. And they're just tickled to death at the progress she's made. So we're going to get back on the campaign trail.
When will Santorum return to the campaign trail? His daughter said as soon as he can. Santorum trails a distant 3rd in the latest polls in Florida. David Curley, ABC News, Washington.
Okay, imagine, I'm sorry, go ahead.
No, I was just saying that genetic disorder that she suffers from kills 90% of children before or during birth.
It's scary. It's a scary condition, too. But I guess when you go through something like that, too, it kind of puts politics and the race for president in a different perspective when your child has something that serious. So I'm glad she made it.
His oldest daughter, who you heard campaigning, says he wishes he could be here with all of you today, but he is exercising his most important role, which is being a dad.
Of course, of course. All right, switching gears now. That cruise ship wreck off the Italian coast will take up to 10 months to remove. That's according to officials there. Divers who were working at the scene yesterday had to call off their efforts because the ship actually moved slightly in some rough seas. The death toll from that disaster now stands at 17, with 16 people still listed as missing. 500,000 gallons of fuel remain on board.
Well, a New Hampshire elementary school principal is looking a lot more like a superhero than an educator. She jumped into a frozen river to save one of her students. Jennifer Gannon of Manchester's WMUR has that story.
If she wasn't there at that instant, who knows what would have happened?
Chris Brown and his wife Tricia are grateful that their 10-year-old son Andrew is happy and healthy, playing with his prized train collection, thanks to their son's quick-thinking school principal. It was Wednesday morning when the 5th grader, who is autistic and doesn't speak, ran away from a teacher outside the Gonick School in Rochester, something he had done before, but never like this.
He darted out of the classroom into the playground, but nothing beyond.
This time, Andrew ran through the woods behind the school and slid down a steep embankment onto the frozen Cachiko River. Luckily, his principal for the last 3 years, Gwen Rhodes, was not far behind.
And then the ice started to break. So the first reaction was I needed to get him out of the water, keep his head above water, and get him back up the embankment.
She just slid down there on her feet and went right in with no coat, no nothing. No concern for herself, just to go get Andrew.
Principal Rhodes pulled Andrew to safety. Both were treated for hypothermia and have some bruises. As for Ms. Rhodes, the Browns say she's much more than just their son's school principal.
Ms. Rhodes, she's just like a second mom.
Oh, wow. Principal Rhodes, tip our hat to you.
What for out of an educator, somebody who's quick thinking.
Says you got to act fast in that environment, so she did. So congratulations to her. All right, here's a look now at your weather, everybody. Some heavy mountain snow from Idaho to Montana, a dusting from Duluth to Marquette, Michigan, up to 3 inches of lake effect snow around Buffalo, Vermont, and New Hampshire. Showers from Brownsville, Texas, up to Austin and Dallas.
60s in Dallas. Didn't we just go over that? No, in Atlanta. 40s in the Northeast. A mild 57 in Omaha, 52 in Indianapolis. Phoenix, 73. Albuquerque, 58. And Portland, 52.
All right. The reason you may have heard some things in the background there. Today, of course, is Monday, January 30th, and that means it is actually, yes, it exists, Bubble Wrap Appreciation Day. Who doesn't love a little bubble wrap on a Monday morning?
Hallmark card for Bubble Wrap Appreciation. I love it.
Our producer upstairs says he hates the sound of bubble wrap. They're annoying deeply.
Okay, so the phenomenon that is bubble wrap started way back in 1960 thanks to a couple of guys in Jersey. They saw the need for a cushioning packing material, so they raised $9,000 to develop it, and now their Sealed Air Corporation has annual revenues of over $3 billion a year.
They're just little bubbles of air. Isn't that amazing? Bubble wrap appreciation. You're going to wrap me up?
I'm going to wrap you up.
All right.
I'm going to wrap you up.
I had no idea you were so kinky. Bubble Wrap Appreciation Day. It's the biggest bubble wrap wheel I've ever seen. I don't know where we got this thing.
Rob?
Look at this thing. It got started back in 2001. It was the idea of a radio station actually in Bloomington, Indiana. And of course, we salute all the great bubble wrappers of the world this morning.
We should have our Facebook fan question to be, where should we send Rob? In his bubble wrap.
We're going to ship me to, man.
We're going to ship you to a fan. We just don't know which one.
I'll just show up at the door.
Okay. This is bad.
Oh, we're going to have some more highbrow news coverage in a moment when we come right back. You know what I see? You know what?
Oh, it's on the loose.
Every girl and boy. Bubble wrap.
World News Now weather. Brought to you by CoverGirl 2-in-1 Foundation.
Make it snap and pop.
Well, political season. Am I making you tired?
No, just yawn came out of nowhere.
Politics can be tough. You could be tough, too.
Thank you.
Okay, and so can the voters if the candidates try so hard to please. Should I wake you up a little bit?
It's no wonder politicians try to warm up the crowds, though, with a little bit of humor, whether they're funny or not. ABC's John Berman has the lighter side of your voice, your vote.
Two candidates walk into a bar. One says to the other, "You're not funny." The other says, "Neither are you." Get it? Actually, it's no joke. It's politics, which by and large is no joke, at least not a funny one. Take the president in his State of the Union discussing government dairy regulations.
With a rule like that, I guess it was worth crying over spilled milk.
That sound you heard Tuesday? 38 million groans and one stoic look from the First Lady. We'll get back to that. Mitt Romney at a New Hampshire diner.
Much closer, much closer. That was hot!
Get it? The joke is the waitress pinched his rear end. We'll get back to Romney's rear end, or he will, but first, no one had more consistent material than George W. Bush, the master of the single entendre.
Feeling a little older.